Okay, now I'm going to do what is commonly known as a guide, but for specifically into one aspect of this game, and that would be the Navy, because nobody knows how to do the Navy. And I think if I tell people how to do the Navy, a lot more people would agree with me that it's a lot of fun. So I'm gonna go play as Japan today, mainly because if you pick the UK or France or the USA specifically, you can just overwhelm your enemy's fleets and, you know, get the naval invasions off, which is the point of the Navy. So I'm going to go as Japan because I am going to have to fight the US. And, well, fighting in China means that it's going to be a lot harder to do that. So I'm going to go with them. I'm going to go Iron Man mode because I'm not a sissy, and historical AI focuses because I actually want to do this game and not have to wait for the US Civil War or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just start it up, which is going to take not too long. Now I do have a couple texture mods, but I can't be bothered turning those on at the minute. So first things first, obviously we're going to pick a focus. Now I could go purge the Coda half action and rush China immediately, but I'm not in the mood for that. I'm going to go over here to the focuses. Nobody really does, unless you're trying to rush the zero, which is understandable. I'm going to go ahead and start with army expansion more, go straight to army expansion, because this Hajime Suguya, or however the hell you say his name, Sugiyama, gives +4 instead of +2 or +3, which I think is incredibly useful. And it will be useful when I'm trying to rush my doctrines. Now, I understand I'm going to be fighting in China, so I'll have all my doctrines done by, well, like a year into the conflict. But here's the first things first. You've got the Navy tech tree, filled with boats, and you've got the Navy support, which is filled with guns and stuff for boats, as well as this. This is important to keep up on because you will be, well, specifically if you're the Allies and trying to do D-Day, landing craft and advanced landing craft are going to take a little bit of the edge off trying to plan the naval invasion, so you're not clicking buttons for 25 million years. But for starters, I'm going to go off with improved airplane catapult, and this is going to be for the first type of ship I'm going to be building, a spotter ship. Now, you've probably seen this here and there, but basically what it is I take a light cruiser, I put as many planes on it as humanly possible. I don't know where these planes are coming from because I'm not building them, but they're just going to sit there and they're going to spot things for us, and that's going to be useful. In terms of industry, I think I'm going to build a couple of civvies up first, and then maybe do some dockyards afterwards. I'll put a couple of mills here and there. That'll do for the time being. Now, in terms of production, I'm going to go 535, the usual production I go for, and then I'm going to make some trucks as well, because trucks are useful, and I like them. I'm going to get rid of the fighter because they're shit. I'm going to keep this one because I'm going to need it for my carriers. Very important. So I'm going to stick 3 on there, and if you see the production, I've got 7 lined up there. I thought I just had the 3, so I might just stick an extra 2 on there, see how it goes. Now, this one's pretty easy. I can just stick this on here. Oh, what am I doing? Of course. Got the Hoi4 We've got what I'm going to be calling my motorized division, because the cavalry division is unnecessary and the tank division is shit. But the speed, I understand it'll take some powers and quite a lot of trucks at 5.2k, but that's not an issue. We're just going to build more. Now, 30 is 6 over the limit for your standard army advisor, so I'm going to put them in the Hoi4. I'm going to turn them into Hoi4. Make sure I get my, whatever it is called for a naval troop, I keep forgetting them, Marines. Put the Marines in a separate army. Now for the Hoi4, I'm going to go with this guy. And for what will be more Hoi4, I have these. Now I want to go Cavalry Advisor because you can get, I do believe it is Combined Arms Expert, which gives us 15% motorized defense, which is pretty good. Also, I'm not sure if motorized counts as cavalry either, so I will check that out. And then for this guy, obviously, you've got your Commando Infantry Expert, so that can be good. In terms of doctrine, we're obviously going to go down base strike, because I think the organisation for carriers is quite vital in the sense that I don't want my carriers to blow up because they're expensive. I don't give a shit if my cruisers die, I can just pump them out by the thousands. And for Marines, we're obviously going to go shore parties, but I'm going to go Marine Commandos because from my experience, naval invasions in China kind of suck balls because they can just pull 20 divisions out of thin air. So I am going to just go down that, just kind of Marine Commandos, and then I'll probably stop and focus on the naval doctrine after that. But I might get this, especially if I research Amtracs, which I might if I get far enough into the game. In terms of achievements, I'll see if I can get any. This one's annoying, Sunrise Invasion. I could try that, but I'd have to go to war with the US and win. So maybe if I beat the US and capitulate them, then I could do Mexico. I just have to hope that the US doesn't join the UK, but that only happens if, well, Japan declares on the UK, which I won't be doing until I beat the US. But they might join the Allies anyways. In terms of frontline, I'm just going to keep it here like this. I'm going to keep my Hoi4 here, along with my other doohickey. I would draw a front line, but because Shaanxi and China aren't in the same faction and at war with me, I can't. So that gets annoying. We put these guys over here. These are going to be like the main breakthrough units for my naval invasions. And I'm going to stick this guy in here. Keep him there. Chuck it up to 5 speed. And yeah, I'm not going to do anything important until then, so I'll catch up with you when I do this. Okay, so the first thing that I want to research after I've done this improved airplane catapult, as you can see I've started on army expansion already, but I'm going to go straight for sonar. Sonar is useful because submarines are annoying as shit, so we're going to probably have at some point a production line of tier 3 destroyers with them. Maybe just throw on a bunch of torpedoes. I'll see how well the rest of my plan goes. Okay, now, seeing as I've just completed army expansion, I'm going to go straight into new naval estimates, because I like those dockyards. Dockyards are important because you need them to build ships. Pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to wait until my PP is high enough for this, get him, but also make sure you want to cheat on the naval treaties. They give you a little bit of a boost. I personally have never really used them, but you know, it could come in handy at some point. Okay, so once I've obviously done passive sonar, I'm going to go with active sonar, just nice to have, and I've got 50 naval experience. That means I can get one of these boosts. I don't do armour because that makes things really expensive. Can't get any of the 1940s. I might get this destroyer, or I might just get the depth charge throwers. It really depends. Or I can go down one of these. These are very useful. They give you a lot of boost. Specifically this one. This effects of critical hit and chance to receive critical hits are quite nice to have. Can't do ship torpedoes. Yeah, I might just go with the depth charge throwers. Obviously, we've got the tier 2 of light guns, I think. Honestly, I can't tell when I unlock these, but I am just going to do small caliber semi-armor piercing shells, because that's quite useful to have. Oh yeah, just one more thing, I completely forgot to tell you guys what focus to do. Now, I am losing a tiny bit of PP to the Zaibatsus, but I'm not going down here, so I won't be able to get that back. Obviously, at some point I want to rush Kodaha, Zaibatsus, and National Research Policy specifically, because the extra research slot will come in handy. These are quite annoying. Spiritual Mobilization is really good as well, but the Liaison Conference, at some point, I might go Marco Polo Bridge Incident, but because of Hirohito's modifier, I can't declare war with China unless world tension is 75, and that won't start until way after World War II. So I am just going to go cruiser modernization because it gives me that 200% research bonus for cruisers. I know it says light cruisers and heavy cruisers, but that's because Paradox has never bothered to update this focus tree since it came out. But they have nerfed it because that used to be 300, and that meant you used to be able to get the 1940 cruiser in like really early 1937. It was really good, but this one's decent enough, so we'll just kind of take it. Gonna go and nab the depth charge thrower now. I will probably get the Chief of the Navy at some point. I'm just being lazy. And I will show you guys how to organise all this bullshit over here, but, you know, for a later moment. Okay, now that we've got cruiser modernisation, which is a pretty good focus, I am just going to go ahead and push the Coda half action right off the bat. I have got the the Army Advisor at this point in time, so that is going to give me a nice little boost of Army experience. I will also modify the Hoi4 Navys at some point because they're just a waste of, what's it called, supply, which, you know, when they get in deep numbers, and specifically deep into China where there is just no supply hubs, like in this section over here or down here, specifically over here. But I don't think we need to push that far. We only really need to just kind of take every single major city in China. So I might go get myself, yeah, I will. I am going to go get myself an agency, see if I can get a collab, which will be very crucial. Okay, now that we've done the little shell thing over here, there's not really much we can rush, so I am just going to go get the destroyer hull whilst I'm at it. Oh yeah, also in terms of my MIO, I am just going to go down these here, mainly this one here for the fuel usage, because you do get the +5 up here, which is really annoying, but then you can just kind of like take them down here. I don't need speed. The range is useful, specifically for reaching places like Hawaii and the, you know, the west coast. They said east coast there, that would have been quite the reach, but then obviously just kind of go down these at any fashion you want to. I have got this one first, obviously, because that 10% HP is pretty good. I have taken the light attack up because, well, you will see at some point over the heavy piercing, which will be quite useful. We've got those depth throwers set up, which is quite nice to have. I want to go down this at some point. Now, I usually would do this, but because it's been nerfed to 200% instead of 300, that is still going to take almost a whole year off. So I am just going to... I could go down here, or I could just up my artillery, because I am going to need a lot of it. Okay, so I'm kind of doing this a little in advance because I thought of a genius idea. And that is, to help the Germans invade the UK, I am going to go station one of my fleets out there, just for that naval invasion support. You will see at some point that it will come in quite useful, but if we can knock out the Allies, then that means I'll only have to focus on the US, and obviously China won't join them because they will be in their own faction, the Chinese United Front, which is nice little abuse of gameplay mechanics there. Okay, so after you've grabbed that, you've kind of got all this to go through, but I am just going to go for radio because radar is very useful, especially on the ships I'm going to build. Okay, in terms of spies, I obviously have another one recruiting because I went and grabbed these 5, the big 5, and then suicide pills, because rescuing an operative or waiting for him to die is just too difficult. So hopefully they kill themselves instead. Not sure if I can say that here, but you know what I mean. I might have to censor it in post. Now obviously I've got one in recruitment, but I'm also going to go and nab the elusive gentleman, because I don't want this person here losing any infiltration network, because these guys have a -4 entrenchment on here, which is going to be big, because the moment you get past Beijing, this kind of becomes a little bit of supply dead zone for Chinese, obviously this one here, but you should just be able to keep the momentum going and push through and take Qingdao, etc. I am also going to just very quickly plan a naval invasion from here to here, just one of these. I actually, as a matter of fact, I am just going to change that up. I am just going to have, you know, just a production line of these, maximum, you know, priority, just so I can get them out as fast as possible. The supply deficit is still pretty bad, but it's not horrendously bad just yet. Okay, now that I've got my 3 spies, I thought, maybe I'll exert some diplomatic pressure on the Germans. However, Paradox seems to have done a sneaky on me and added this distance reduced by tensions. I don't know when that was added, but obviously when I was playing my friend in co-op, you don't need that. But yeah, I'm just going to go get my first collab, commence when ready. repair. I'm also going to put these guys on high priority just so they can get the stuff they need. And now that the double whammy of Dispersed Industry 2 and Mechanical Computing have been completed, you can kind of do whatever, but I am just going to go for Improved Machine Tools instead. Okay, now that that's done, I am going to go Liaison Conference, Tripartite Pact, Greater East Asian Crow Prosperity Sphere, and then I might just go Marco Polo. The bonuses are absolutely horrendous. Like, look at that negative 50% attack bonus, which is kind of why you need that momentum. But I might just go get Supremacy of Will here, just to alleviate that. Now you could just rush to the 0. Having first air fleet's good as well. Long Lance, that's good to grab, but probably get all these just before I invade the US. So I'm just going to go grab Supremacy of Will, and then I'm just going to go rush Marco Polo. Okay, so obviously I've gone down the grand battle plan here because, well, it does give better bonuses for infantry. Now most of the time I do love my superior firepower. However, we've got the manpower to do grand battle plan, and also on top of that, this is going to be quite annoying, specifically if I'm in China fighting for my life. However, grand battle plan is the one for Japan, but I am going to go reform my army real quick, and that is going to be removing this lot because it's kind of stupid, and I'm going to have, I could have motorized artillery. It's going to increase our soft attack and breakthrough. It's going to give our organisation a bit of a tank, but to be honest, we never really needed it anyways. Yeah. Oh, that's actually pretty good. Might remove another one of these infantries just to get that supply. Is that supply? Yeah, that supply down a bit, but no, I'm just going to keep it as is. Hopefully this doesn't crash my thing too badly. I've got the artillery for it, I just need the trucks. I am also going to give these guys elite as well, just so they get the equipment they want to have. Yeah, about now you want to be getting your cruiser hull in because it's down to 200 days, which is pretty good. Now, about now, I want to have, well, I want to have quite a few carriers. Specifically, I want about 12, so that I can have, because the moment you hit 5 carriers it becomes an overstacking penalty, which is bad. So you want to keep 4 carriers per doohickey. However, I want 3 doohickeys, so obviously 4 times 3 equals 12. And it doesn't really matter how good the carrier is, it just matters the planes that are on it. So what I'm going to do is, seeing as I've got 7 and I need 5, I'm going to go build a converted cruiser hull. I'm going to give it a single hangar, give it carrier engine 2, I'll give it secondary battery as well. I would give it a radio, but radar, but I obviously haven't unlocked that yet. I think I'm about to. Let me just check. 23 days. You can if you want to, I'm not gonna. I need that production cost down. So obviously I'm going to want 5 of these. Hopefully they'll just be filled out at some point. Well, I am just going to go cancel this cruiser now. I could wait a month, but these carriers need to be out by yesterday, you know? Okay, whilst I'm preparing for my war in China, I am just going to go deploy another 24 of these. Mainly because they're quite handy to have. And also I'm going to give them all the shit equipment anyways. Okay, so I've got 1 collaboration government with a second one on the way. Marco Polo Bridge is done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go declare on, well, I can only really declare on either China or Shaanxi. So I'm going to declare on Shaanxi because I think this might help us down the line, seeing as China's a major. However, I am just going to go get strike south and maybe alliance with Siam, which would be useful to have. But yeah, obviously right off the bat, I'm just going to go delete everything. Organise that. Call these guys in. just so they stay there. Or not, I guess we could move at the speed of sound away from where we need to be. But seeing as we're alright, even though we're in the middle of a war, I guess now's the time to tell you guys how I make my navy. What makes my navy tick. I am going to grab this just for the sake of having it. Right, now I've shown you how to do the carrier. Cruiser. Ready for this? One cheap heavy gun, right? And then as many secondary batteries as you are willing to put on it. Or that will let you, we'll get aircraft facilities as well whilst we're at it. I guess we'll get anti-submarine. We'll go sonar. Obviously fire control, seeing as we don't have radar yet. I swear we're like a few days away from that as well. Yeah, we are, we're like 17 days away. Which is annoying. Could throw on some anti-air. Make it a little more expensive, only by a couple hundred. There you go, that's going to be our big whammy. It's going to be this heavy cruiser. Now this heavy cruiser is very, very sexy. It is a very sexy cruiser. Some would say the sexiest cruiser. But we're just going to have about 3 production line of these. Have 15 dockyards. In terms of military buildings, I've got all the factories I really want. I built 5 and, well, instead of shuffling over to here, they shuffled over to here, so I guess I'll just go do that. Put those there. Still in a slight deficit of guns, doesn't really matter. Got these guys out. I guess they will go be backup for these guys. Now, obviously I've chucked them all into one big navy, huge overstacking penalty, do not do this. We'll split it in half at the very least. Just going to organise things around here. Right, obviously in terms of attack, I'm going to want this guy here, and I'm going to want this guy here. More attack the better. Obviously positioning is really cool to have. This guy's got 6 positioning, this means he's going to be a banger. Obviously I'm going to set him to patrol over here, just so I can sink the Chinese fleet. Well, actually, patrol here, strike force here. Could even do naval invasion support actually, but I'm just going to tell them to go over here. Obviously if you click on this, they won't listen to where they want to go, but if you click on this it'll tell you, because the AI is weird like that. Well, not the AI, the UI, I guess. Potatoes. And boom, just like that, the Chinese Navy is taken care of. I'm going to take you off patrol. Obviously, whenever I want to do naval invasions, probably after I've taken Beijing, you want to be careful about casualties here, because you're just going to throw manpower into them. Unless you're going to get like a massive encirclement, there isn't really no point, because the Chinese will always just outpower you in terms of manpower. So look, 2.76 million, and I bet you they're not even off volunteer. Yeah, look there, volunteers only. So you're pretty boned if you try and do that. Obviously, when you take China, China's one of the few places in the game where you gain manpower if you take a tile. It's really cool, but obviously I'm going strike south, alliance with Siam. Might do non-aggression with the Soviets, maybe I'll save that till later. Could just go down long lance torpedoes, really depends. But yeah, I'll let you guys know whenever I have a major breakthrough. Oh yeah, always, you want to be looking out for Escalate War in China button, because that is really big cash money. And yeah, it's really good. And boom, just like that, the Chinese Navy is taken care of. I'm going to take you off patrol. Obviously, whenever I want to do naval invasions, probably after I've taken Beijing, you want to be careful about casualties here, because you're just going to throw manpower into them. Unless you're going to get like a massive encirclement, there isn't really no point, because the Chinese will always just outpower you in terms of manpower. So look, 2.76 million, and I bet you they're not even off volunteer. Yeah, look there, volunteers only. So you're pretty boned if you try and do that. Obviously, when you take China, China's one of the few places in the game where you gain manpower if you take a tile. It's really cool, but obviously I'm going strike south, alliance with Siam. Might do non-aggression with the Soviets, maybe I'll save that till later. Could just go down long lance torpedoes, really depends. But yeah, I'll let you guys know whenever I have a major breakthrough. Oh yeah, always, you want to be looking out for Escalate War in China button, because that is really big cash money. And yeah, it's really good. So I thought I'd give you guys an update, and I am bogged down in China because I'm not very good at playing military. I have had my cheap little crappy destroyers ready to go, and you know, that's already made quite a formidable force. 4 carriers, 6 heavy cruisers, 32 destroyers. Big money, but you know, I won't be able to get to test them till later because I want to capitulate China before I do anything else. Now, I have taken a few troops off their front line because I'm a cheeky little bastard and I asked for Indochina. So hopefully I'll be able to take these guys out. Cross my fingers. Maybe I'll be able to revoke guarantee. I think I might have already revoked my guarantee. Yeah, I've already revoked my guarantee, so therefore if I attack the Americans, they won't attack Germany, who needs to take out these guys, which will be quite annoying. But obviously I'm going to want my shit station probably over here. And these guys. These guys can stay over here, although I'm going to move them further down to here. Because this is all mine, I don't need to bother about controlling this. I'll move these guys over here, because that'd be useful. I might go set up a naval invasion for the Philippines, because if I can get the Philippines kicked out, I get the whole control of this zone. And maybe I can move on to Hawaii, and then maybe the East Coast, but that's going to be a bit of an ask for now, so I'll see how it goes. And there we go. I knew setting up a collab would be good, because I only had to make it down to over here, and the whole thing's gone kaput. So I can now do all of this. I can take all of this, all of it, every single bit of it. Oh, and they still have some ships left. Oh, mine. Yoink. Haha. Boom. Just like that. And see, because I control it, I've got manpower. I actually have real manpower now. Now I'm going to go change my gun production to this. Because it's nice and cheap. Oh, well, not cheap. Good. Now I can go do the funnies. And I'm going to go put these guys under this guy here. Give him control of these guys. Tell these guys to just station every single itty bitty island in the Pacific. Problem is I have to click on all of these, which is annoying. I think that's it. So I'll go tell them to do that. I might have to put some troops on the British Raj, I do not know. However, provisional government in China could be good. Yeah, go for it. Because that means I can just stop focusing on all this bollocks and I can just, you know, let them take that. In terms of this, I might just be able to... So much steel I can import. These guys, obviously, I'm going to need to change my... probably have the reoccurring focus of just reducing their autonomy as much as I can. But that really depends. Wait, why am I building civs? I need to build dockyards. Dockyards are important. Silly Henry, he does not know what he's doing. Blood does not, in fact, know what he's doing. Well, anyways, I'm going to wait for my Navy XP to tick up, because that's something I completely forgot to do, and I am going to need some actual decent destroyers at some point, rather than these shitty crap ones that I can just throw out for a tenner a piece. Oh no, come to this one, yeah. And yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. Oop, forgot to press record here. But basically, I've started war with China, I've invaded the Philippines, I've taken this island here, that's going to be useful. And also, I'm going to be taking this one. See if I can island hop my way to Hawaii without actually having to fight the Americans, which would be pretty nice. But I wonder if there is a decision, because I think there is a decision, to bring America to the debate table. But that might only be after I do that one, which is going to be annoying to do. But if I can take everything I want, then I can force them out the war, which would be great. But obviously I've got convoy issues to deal with, which is fun, obviously, and that I'm also losing resources from China, obviously, because I wonder if I can just say no to this, see where my resources go. See if I can have these guys beat. And if I can have these guys set to always engage, see if that'll work, because these convoys are starting to get really annoying to deal with, specifically because I want to build my fleet. But, you know, anything to keep the war industry alive. I'm also going to need to build some convoys, I've just noticed. I'm going to need to build a lot of those. Luckily I'll have some dockyards out in a bit, but we'll see. Okay, it's most of the way, well, part way through 1942, and I finally got the American ships out to play, and they stacked 2 giant carrier fleets on top of each other and completely crushed mine. So I'm only down to a few destroyers, which is pretty bad, seeing as, well, I'm out of steel, which means I can't build any, which is really annoying. But yeah, maybe I'll come back to this one day and, I don't know, actually build a decent fleet and be on time in China, because I have not done this too properly well. But despite all that, they are, I'm pretty sure they're almost out of small ships as well. The only problem is they're outproducing me at a stupid rate, which is really annoying. I did sink a carrier and their pride of the fleet. Well, I sunk quite a couple carriers, but they've just outproduced me on all fronts, which means I'm going to have to call it quits here. I hope you learnt something about the Navy. Probably. Probably not, because this isn't the greatest guide of all time, because I didn't actually win, because I'm not very good. But I hope you learnt something, I guess. Alright, ciao.